This week, we're talking about where is my RHO, as well as a Toyota Tundra engine recall lawsuit. Yeah, looking for class action status. I have some updates for why did Tim Kuniskis come back, some recalls, this stuff going on the channel. We can get to in this week's truck news recap. Hey, it's Tim, Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Let's dive into this and talk more about where's my RHO. All right, so that's been a conversation that's been in the comments and things on forums. People ask me, look, my RHO is on order. My latest update is that it's been built and it's going through the stages going from being built on to the transport to Louisiana. Now, there are some people who've picked up the RHO already. I've seen some photos today from the Mark Dodge dealership I ordered my truck from of RHO sitting there, but it's not my truck. Now, I'm not worried. I'm not concerned. Why? Because I've done this 3 times now. And what typically happens with trucks that I order is that brands spend a little more time on them. I maybe get a second inspection. I know it sounds like I'm conceited and I'm all this kind of stuff. Take all these words people throw at me, but I'm not. I have a voice, I have a channel, I have an outlet, I have viewers and things. And brands, they don't want my truck breaking down the way home. You know what? I don't want that either. So I don't mind the second inspection going through it. I take your time on that. I'm not that concerned. Now, I do have a tax issue. Like most YouTube businesses that do this stuff, the tax man comes. Well, any business tax man comes. I use trucks as write-offs through the 179 tax code to reduce my tax bill. So I do have a backup plan, guys. A few months ago, my wife and I made a video about her buying a mid-sized truck. So that's the plan. If I get my RHO by year end, buy the RHO. If I don't, and I have to wait till January, wife gets a new truck by year end, and then I buy her truck the following year. So no matter what happens, new trucks are coming. Yeah, I'm hoping soon. It is December 13th. I have T-minus less than 20 days for it to leave the plant in Michigan and make its way down to Louisiana. A good part, though, is that my truck is built, so when the Sterling Heights assembly plant, when those workers go on holiday leave, it won't impact me. It's going through the process. It should be in a tractor trailer by the next couple of days, I'm told, or something like that. I am going to follow up with Ram team again on Monday and get some new updates. One thing that's helping the whole process is Brant Combs. He is the national director of sales for Ram. He has my VIN written down. He is paying attention to it. He's doing everything he can to force that through. And now that it's through production, I feel good that he has a little more sway in getting on transport sooner and getting through inspection sign sooner, because production's a whole thing. What else is going on with this truck news recap? It is going to be on the website, pickuptrucktalk.com. And a few things. I'm going to start over here. Let's start from the bottom to top, because that's the top of the items. There's a Toyota Tundra engine recall. This is a lawsuit that's been filed by 3 defendants, and they are concerned that the recall that Toyota put out that involves a new engine on the gasoline versions of the Tundra doesn't go far enough. They're concerned that hybrid models are not included. They're concerned that the 2024 models, that we've had a few of those have engine issues, are not included. There is a single 2025 Tundra that had a blown engine, we think. The NHTSA.gov report isn't very clear, and people are jumping to conclusions because it's not enough information, but we think. So their lawsuit's contending that they did not do enough. If you read the lawsuit, it gets a little funny because they throw around some things that aren't really related to the engine, but they kind of put all this stuff together, and they use some photos from a well-known person who does Toyota stuff. And so it's just an interesting thing. And so what happens with these class action lawsuits, and I get asked this all the time, is that typically, and most people know this, lawyers do really well with these, right? So lawyers make a lot of money in class action lawsuits, but also that it has to get class action status from a judge. When it does that, then you get a bigger law firm comes in, usually helps take over it, or law firm spends more money, and then they go to court. Now, people keep asking me, and they're going to ask me in the comments, and they go for a long period of time. You do not need, at this stage, to join the lawsuit. You really can't until it gets class action status. Then when it gets class action status, and I have the law firm, I'll update the story. You can reach out to the law firm to put you on a list. But here's the thing. If you own one of these trucks, you're pretty much already included in the lawsuit. Because if the lawsuit gets settled and say Toyota's going to pay millions or whatever it's going to be, they will go through the owner list and find everybody that's supposed to get so much money, and they'll mail you a letter. I get these all the time from random things. So that's the case with this. So you don't need that to join. You can join a mailing list when the law firm really gets involved in it. But right now, it's just really early days, and it's probably going to be 6 months until it gets heard in the courtroom, and maybe the class action status is maybe granted or not granted. And then you're talking years after that point. That's how these class action lawsuits, they work. So let me spin this back up. What else on the homepage? We have Tim Kuniskis is back. This was a cool moment. I was in Detroit this week. He came out to the Eminem song, "Who's Back?" Guess who's back? Back again. It was a fun moment. In my story here, I called him over a maverick. I clicked the first two words of the Maverick, or not Maverick movie, but the 1986 Top Gun movie. So I put those movie lines in there. So he came back, and why did he come back? There's been a lot of conversation about this. There's been pointing fingers at Carlos Tavares. Fair enough. Resigned CEO. Tim Kuniskis said he came back for a couple reasons. This is from his mouth. Bored as hell. This is a man who cut his honeymoon short a week because he wanted to get back to work. 2-week honeymoon, went for a week. 2 weeks in, he said bored. He also saw the sales results, and he goes, "We are getting our asses kicked," is what he said flat out. But he said was interesting. He said, "Our asses are getting kicked, and light duty only. If you look at the heavy duty numbers, we're still holding pretty strong. Why are we getting killed in light duty?" And he said, the 2025 Ram 1500 should have been out months ago. Dealership lots should have been full. He ordered a Ram RHO. He does not have his Ram RHO yet. And he is not happy about that. And think about this. If this is the former Ram CEO and he's now the current Ram CEO and he doesn't have his RHO truck, who the hell am I to bitch about not having my RHO truck? I'm small potatoes over here. Trust me, compared to that dude. So if he can't have it, I can't have it yet. They're coming. So, but he said, getting asses kicked. He goes, "I want to get this brand back." He goes, "I missed the fight. 32 years. I was retired for 6 months. I miss being in there. I was texting the guys like every couple days, asking for updates. The guy's like, "Well, we can tell you, but why do you care?" And he just got frustration. So I think that was part of it. I think the cars Tavares, something clearly happened. I think that was part of it as well. But it's nice to see him back in the fight. It's nice to see Maverick re-engaged. It's nice to see that guy back in there. And he can probably, well, hopefully he can get production back to the levels it needs to be. And we're not talking about Ram having not enough product on the dealership lots or the wrong product. We have the right product, have a leader who's really in charge of stuff. What I think is really interesting about this, though, is that he ordered an RHO, right? And people keep associating him with bringing back the V8. And it's an interesting topic, and I put it in the story because it keeps coming back, like the Hemi V8 coming back. Understand that he was involved in decision making when the Hemi went away. Now, a lot of people there's been some sources on CNBC that have said that Tavares wanted the Hemi V8 gone. He was the reason the Hemi V8 left. There's some regulatory issues with the V8. It's been marketplace for many, many years. It needed to be a little more refreshed. There needs some changes happening. Keep in mind that the engine wasn't out of EPA compliance. I've heard that comment as well on the forum and places. Stellantis, as a company, hasn't been within the EPA's compliance through CAFE, which is the NHTSA and CAFE or EPA combination rule. They haven't been in compliance for more than a decade now. They're paying millions in fines every year. So imagine that. You sell the product, you pay a fine. And then they had changes happen in Europe. We discussed this with the chief engineer. They had too many cylinders. When you have a V8 in a lot versus a 6-cylinder, you pay a little bit more money to sell the V8. It's additional fine in certain countries. And Ram's going global. Stellantis is going global. They have to go global. That's the way you survive. The fourth largest automaker globally. So I don't know. I think that what I've said in other videos is I think that they could bring back a V8 like Ford has done and a supercharged version in our like Raptor R. People love to point to Ford's V8 and say, well, Ford offers one. Look a little closer. Ford doesn't offer them in the top trim. Ford doesn't offer them all the lineup. I mean, they really kind of pick and choose Sorry, there's a bunny rabbit outside. My eyes are wandering. Um, they pick and choose what they're putting out there, and sometimes they artificially reduce the number of engines. GM has done this with the V8. They still have their V8, right? But they also offer 2.7 and 3-liter diesel. And the V8 that GM has will run down on one cylinder. That's how far they've taken this down, trying to get through emissions. So, and keep in mind that GM sells a lot of EVs as well. Ford sells a lot of EVs. Stellantis doesn't sell any. Okay, so really any. So, you know, that's the problem, is that Stellantis needs fuel efficient vehicles, or they need an EV to sell or something to make up for the fact and make of the higher emissions of a V8 engine, or they can hybrid the V8 engine, which does help to some degree to get in compliance with global emission standards. So I don't know. I mean, it's not all the woodwork. He did say in the final comments they didn't get off the bench to not call audibles. He might just call an audible. I don't know. I'm just speculating about different things with V8 and stuff, because it's a bigger picture than I think what people anticipate with why the V8 went away. Major milestone. We talked about this a couple days ago. Thank you. You have watched 50 million views. You guys have clicked 50 million times on the play button. Well, you and a lot of other people probably did. 4 million watch hours. That means that's how many total number of hours people have spent watching our content on YouTube. I did the math the other day for that video, and where's my paper? Oh, my paper went elsewhere. It's like 300 and some videos, 287 website posts, 53 podcasts. It's pretty crazy. And speaking of the podcast, I want to go to the forum real fast, because I did this post. I want to show you guys this post, or those listening on the podcast. Those listening, welcome listening. So we got an email this morning from our podcast provider. If you don't know, this truck news recap is in the podcast. I did the 50 million view as a separate podcast, and sometimes Jill and I do live streams. We do those podcasts. So in 2024, we had 30,000 downloads of the podcast. Wow. 57 episodes, 65 countries. 65 countries. 1.72 thousand minutes of listening time. I'm not sure what that turns into. And it was a top 25 of all shows downloaded on Buzzsprout. And here's, that's the numbers versus downloads. So I could probably publish more consistently and get more downloads, I think. 65 countries. United States number 1. Canada was number 2. Australia and United Kingdom were tied at 102. And Germany was 101 as far as total downloads. 22,433 from the United States. But this is more interesting with Canada. Kitchener, the most popular city. And I honestly had to pull up where the hell Kitchener is. It's actually about 30 miles west of Toronto, I believe, from my understanding. Or I'm saying miles, but it could be kilometers. Kitchener, Ontario, with 631 downloads. They won. They had the most downloads. I don't know what's there. So if you are from Canada, and I know I have viewers from Canada, and I have people listening to podcasts from Canada, and you know why the hell that Kitchener, Ontario is a hotspot on my listener map, please let me know. I'm confused. Chicago, Illinois was number 2. Dallas, Texas, number 3. Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. And I was teasing Jill. She lives in Chicago. I said, how do you walk around without getting autographs every day? And she chuckled and said that she actually gets recognized in the gym through her TikTok channel. That people see her from there. But yeah, 437 from Chicago. So those are interesting numbers as well. And then we have the Infiniti QX80 review that Joe wrote up on the website. And I talked about the forum. What's on the YouTube channel? So in the past week or so, we had, let's see. I had it on the thing. Here we go. We had, no, that's, I got to find my spot. I apologize. There it is, up higher. We had the Odyssey review. The Nissan Rogue went live. VW Tiguan that Jill saw in LA. We're a little bit behind getting the LA videos out. That got done. And then the 50 million views, what I talked about a couple days ago. So that's what happened on the YouTube channel this week. We hit, like I said, 50 million views, which is an astonishing thing for me. I never ever thought that would ever. How many times am I gonna say ever? I don't know. That just caused me to speechless. I mean, this year we got, I moved my head, the 100,000 subscriber button, which is the silver button behind my head over here. It for those who watching, it's shiny, so I've kind of put my head in front of it because I don't want to show up on the screen so badly. But we had 100,000 silver play button, which was reading that mark was amazing. We had 50 million views, 4 million watch hours in the past. Somebody asked me, and really the channel got going in like 2018, 2019, something like that realm. And really, COVID was a big deal for this channel. So, and it's funny. So, I wanted to talk about some things. Starting next week, there's going to be some updates for some California regulations. We're doing lots of interviews and behind the scenes. I've never had a story where I've had more people tell me no comment and they can only talk off the record. It's a really interesting story coming up. More videos, more reviews for you guys coming up as well. I'm actually going deer hunting this weekend. Wish me luck. Doing the black powder route. We'll see what happens. I have my game cameras and they are out there. Actually, I think one of them licked my game camera because it looks really fuzzy. I'm not sure what's going on with that. All right, that's what we have for this week's truck news recap. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.